G'day guys, welcome back to SuperCoach for DR and happy 1st of Feb. I tell you what, we are now under 43 days away from the start of round one, and it's a bit of an understatement to say that I'm pretty excited. I've had a ripping preseason to date, had some special guests on the channel doing some team reviews, plenty more to come. We've got about 10 more within the next 40 days, so definitely stay tuned for those. Make sure you go back and check out the other ones if you haven't already. I've been on the Jock Reynolds podcast with Damo and Clarkey, two absolute legends, had an absolute ball with them. It's just been a really fun pre-season. I've had about 400 new subscribers within the last 3 weeks, so thank you very much guys, really do appreciate the support. And all of a sudden I'm about 200 away from the magical 4K mark, so extremely humbled by that. The channel would be nothing without all of you. I'm not someone that ever really asks for subscribers or anything like that, so thank you very much. It really does mean the world to me. And if you are new to the channel, this is the home of the SuperCoach stock market videos, probably the most popular videos that I put out on a weekly basis. Once the season starts, we talk about players break even, who to select, who to trade out, who to cash out, those rookies, are they ready to cull or not? All that sort of info you'll find in the stock market video, so really excited to get back into those as well. Also want to give a big shout out to the members of the channel. If you don't know much about the membership, I will put out a video soon. It's basically $1 a week. You get all these extra benefits, including video chats, really fun, great group of people in there as well, and all of the money gets donated to Beyond Blue, so it actually does go to a really good cause. And before I forget as well, we do have the SuperCoach with DR group this year. Now the code that you're looking for is 744739. There will be some pretty cool prizes. I'll announce those within the next week. Just a couple of things that I need to organise there. And in regards to leagues, look, I wish that I could be involved in 20 or more leagues, but we do have a limit of 10, so I'll only have the one SuperCoach with DR league this year. We'll hopefully do organise a fun way of gaining entry into that league. There'll only be 20 spots or 19 once I'm already in there, so apologies that I can't get involved in any more leagues. I've had to decline a few invitations. It shatters me to have to do so. I wish that I could be in every league that I'm invited to, but they do put a cap of 10, so not much that we can do about it. But with the group, it's free to enter. You can enter as many groups as you want, and we can have as many people as possible in the group. So 744739 is a group code again. And in regards to the league, I will put out some information probably again within the next week. But look, we are here for a February team update. I'm going to start from scratch, show you what my thoughts are. It's a little bit of a different strategy that I'm going with at the moment, but again, things could change, and things do change on a daily basis. So hope you enjoy guys, all the best. Let's start creating this side. Alrighty, so let's start to create this side now. We'll start with the defense, obviously, and you got the big boys here, the top 5, all 600k plus: Sinclair, Sis, Stewart, Doherty and Dawson. Now I must admit that 4 out of these 5 players have entered my side at some stage during the preseason. The only bloke that hasn't really is Jack Sinclair. He's the most expensive player. We've got Ross the Boss down there. Just a few too many question marks at this stage. Could it be a great pick and end up as a D1 this year? Absolutely it could, but just for me, I don't think there's any value there at this stage. And Ross scares me, to be quite honest. I just don't know what he's going to do to Sinclair and a few other players down back. Hunter Clark, Wanganeen Miller. There's a few guys that are looking to even play that role. Sinclair's mentioned he's going to mentor them. I'm speaking too much. Let's just get into my side. But yeah, not really considering Sinclair at the moment. Sicily we know what he's like, the quarterback. Hawks, in my opinion, going to get the spoon this year. Don't complain, Hawk supporters, because since the 70s, you blokes have been smashing it. Just regular flags all the time. So Sis, I think, is going to be a really good pick. Probably the captain of the club as well. Stewart absolutely loves a pick. Massive ceiling. Got a little bit of attention towards the end of last year. The suspension, the concussion, and that leads me to believe, particularly that concussion game, we're talking pretty small numbers here, that there is a smidgen of value with Tommy Stewart. Doherty, potential midfield time to start off the season. There's a few question marks on the fitness of some of Carlton's midfielders, so that's an added bonus, isn't it? Even if he plays down back, I think he can still score well. So that really attracts me to the Doherty pick, particularly those early games you jump on. Even if he regresses a little bit, yeah, given the fact that he could pop off early, he could still give you a really nice season average. And then you got Dawson, who I've been really hot on really since the midway point of last season, and did get him in my side late last year, but it was only for a few matches. So yeah, who am I going to go here if any of the top 5? I'm actually going to go with 2, and this will lead into probably my theme for this current side, and it's sort of have your cake and eat it too. I want to lock in some big boys in each position, 2 blokes in each position, probably apart from the Rucks, who I'll obviously speak about a little bit later, but I want to lock in 2 blokes in the defence, mid and forward line who I think, and just in my opinion, are most likely to finish top 2. And for me, that's Tommy Stewart and Jordan Dawson. So I've talked a lot about these guys in the last month or two, but with Stewart, really, really scary if you don't own him and he starts going off early. He's got the bye, obviously, with the Gold Coast Suns, so that's only best 18. So I think you can afford to carry someone like a Stewart or even a Miller type through those buys or through that buy, and then they can cover the next 2, which I think would be really, really handy there. And I think one thing that Stewart has that these other 5 blokes don't really possess is an ultra high ceiling. So I'm talking like 180 plus type scores here. They've all got a decent ceiling, the 5 that you're looking at here on the screen, but Tommy Stewart in particular is one of the blokes that can just go off tap. He can just smash it for a game, and that does scare me as well. So Stewart, I'm just going to lock in as my D1 at this stage. And Dawson, as I mentioned before, really hot on. He was tagged a couple of games, well, for periods of games last season, but they tended to move him forward, and he did actually manage to impact the scoreboard on those couple of occasions as well. So that really attracts me to the pick that he can play in multiple positions and still score well. He was mooted for some potential midfield time, I believe, at the start of last season. Don't really know what happened with that. I don't really expect that personally. I'm not a Crows man, you know that, but I expect him to probably play down back, maybe push up onto a wing, use his kicking to good effect, take some kick-ins hopefully. If that's the case, I think that he'll probably maintain what he did last year. And hey, we're looking for value with picks, but I don't think you can look for value with every pick. So Dawson's probably priced accordingly for me, and I'm just happy to lock him in at this stage. Now, Dacos has been Dawson before. Dacos has been my D3, but this is where I'm going a little bit of mid-price, a little bit of value here. And we're actually going to go all the way down to Elliot Yeo. So we know this is a huge injury risk. I think it's 27, 28 games in the last 3 years. But remember, for 3 consecutive years, he did go 100 plus. So he is certainly a premium of the past. He did have pretty high CBA numbers during, I think, at least 2 of those 3 years. We've also seen him score well down back, though. So wherever he plays this year, and I think it's probably going to be a bit of a mixture of defence and midfield, I still think he can score well if, and this is the huge if he can stay on the park and actually get his body right. Apparently ticking all the boxes this preseason, which is the only reason, well, not the only, but one of the major reasons why he's currently in my side. But we know that this man can break down at any minute. But remember, given the fact that he's a stepping stone, or for me he's a stepping stone, I don't see Yo as a keeper. If he can just stay fit for the first 6 to 8 weeks, I think that's a win for us. So if he can average just say 90 for 8 weeks, massive win, he goes up to a premium pretty easily. Again, it could end up in disaster, but at this stage, I think that the pros outweigh the cons with the Elliot Yeo selection. Now, this is really speculative, but again, I've had so many different plays in this position, but at the moment, it's Jack Bowes. We don't know where he's going to be playing. Is there a spot for him in the 22? I think there is. I sat down the other day, and this is, again, just my personal opinion, but I did find a spot for him on the interchange bench. Now, where does he play? Is it defence? Is it midfield? He wants to be a midfielder. Did they tempt him with a midfield carrot? I'm not too sure. We know that Selwood's gone, but as Shorty mentioned, and I tell you what, make sure you check out that Geelong review. One of the best clubs, most fun clubs I've ever done, I think, with Shorty. But there are a lot of blokes that are putting their hands up, you know, your Parfitt types. So Tommy Atkins is a real pod down back. There are a few guys, even a Jai Clark is that younger guy that may look to put his hand up early with a really strong preseason. There are a lot of guys that could look to go through there. So I'm really not confident on this pick, but it's pretty easy just to go down or slightly up. So I'm not too concerned. Let's call him a bit of a lower mid-price placeholder for now anyway. The next bloke, we're going to get our goat on, Josh Goater. Many Brisbane fans, I think I mentioned this in another video, were really keen on Goda. We loved him as a draft selection, but what does he bring to the table? Well, I think he probably pushes up to a wing this year, potentially off halfback as well. The frustrating thing is that he comes at an elevated price, 192,700, because he did play the one game last year, mid-70s, and he played really well, really looked good for me. So I think that's part of so it's a bit of a catch-22. I think given the fact that we saw him for that one game last year, and he was pretty impressive, really attracts us more to the pick this year. But in order to get that game out of the way, I suppose, and actually view him for the 1 week, we do have to cop the fact that his price does go up. So, due to the fact that he's priced at 35, I think it is, from the top of my head, maths. I think it's around 35. He should absolutely smash that, shouldn't he? So I think he can go at least 70, which is double that average, and happy days. He does his job, gives us some nice on-field points, and then makes us enough money to be able to upgrade him. So I really like the go-to selection at the moment, and I do see a role for him in North's 22 this year. Now, I'll tell you what, a little bit of controversy here. I know who you're expecting. I know who you are expecting. Oh, and then I butchered it, haven't I? Oh, no. You're expecting this man, Connor McKenna. He could certainly be here. Certainly he could, but I got a little bit of intel the other day. My cuz went up and watched the intra club, went down there at training, and in his opinion, and I do trust him, he is a mad Lions man, an absolute mad Lions man. He's got the Pepsi Max King actually in front of McKenna at the moment. Now remember, McKenna has been out of the game for 2 years. What I really like about the McKenna selection is the fact that I think we need him in the side due to his attributes, which is his speed and his run and carry. We know he can butcher the ball a little bit, but that's not necessarily what we need him for. Like Assad, coming off that halfback, that's what we need. But at the moment, there is so much competition down back. It's really hard to fit him in. I've tried to do a Brisbane 22, and for me, it's either McKenna or Darcy Wilmot at this stage. It's one of the two. They could both find a spot. They could absolutely both find a spot. But if I'm tossing up between the two and I'm saving basically 40k on one or the other, then I'm going to lock in Darcy. Now, Wilmot, during match sim, I'm not sure if anyone's on Twitter. Well, I know some people certainly are, but if you're not on Twitter, I did put a tweet out. He took some kick-ins, and he played in the A side, took some kick-ins, playing off half-back, delivered it nicely. They were actually looking to go through him at stages as well. Just did everything pretty much that he could. Now, wasn't BOG or anything like that, but absolutely played his role. Am I saying come the season proper that he's going to be the main distributor? No, I'm not. Is he going to get a heap of kick-ins? Again, I don't think that he will. Just little bonuses possibly, though. We look for little bonuses, don't we, with these type of selections. So, given the fact that, I'm not going McKenna, I'm going to get Wilmot in. I do feel that I need someone with a more elevated price on field, and that's going to be Ruben Jimby. So really impressive apparently in the preseason. Meant to be an absolute mammoth of a kid as well. So built for AFL football, really mature body. I think he'll actually spend some minutes in the midfield. Now the question is where else he plays apart from that midfield, because I don't think he certainly spends all his time there. I don't really know. I'm not too sure. But the reports coming out of West Coast are that this bloke has a really, really good chance of getting a round one berth. So given the fact that he's, one of those top 10 rookies, he plays for West Coast who, let's be honest, should be playing the kids, I think I'm going to just get him in for now. But again, he could change from McKenna up to a Caulfield, a Jones type, heaps of players that we could go here, but it shouldn't be for now. The next bloke is going Wilmot. So I already talked about him. Is he definite best 22? No, but I think he's got a good chance. Remember, we played him in finals, so he played all of our 3 finals last year. You've got to have a fair bit of faith in the bloke, don't you, do that. He's built for it. He's got a great temperament, absolute character. I know that being a great character doesn't have anything to do with SuperCoach, but I do really love this bloke and a real cult figure at the Lions as well. And the last bloke there, who is it? Yeah, of course. I've locked in Wilmot too early. It's Josh Weddle. So ever since I did the Hawks review with SDS, he gave him high praise, and that's, all the news that's been coming out of Hawthorn, isn't it? So where does he play? Could be back, could be midfield. I think that long-term Mitchell sees him as a midfielder, but really impressive preseason to date, and I think he's, not a lock in the 22, but I'd actually be pretty surprised if he wasn't selected in come round one. So that's a defence at the moment. You'll see I've locked in obviously the two big boys there, got the two mid prices, and then the two blokes who are at that sort of elevated rookie type price. But only the one on-field rookie, that is a first-year rookie. Wilmot's obviously a second year, so you could have him on there. Not that I'd want Jimby on the bench at that price, but that's how the defence is looking. Let's get into this midfield. So, look, this midfield, it's changed so much. So I think I put in the Twitter chat that I've got with the regulars group that we've got that Tom Green was my M3 a few days ago. A bit of that's changed. Now, you're not going to love this, and I don't love it either. But again, the whole theme of this team is locking in some really big boys and balancing that out with some value. So here we go. Laird and Oliver. 24 hours ago, Laird wasn't in my side. Now, we know what the issue is here. It's the magic number. There's been so much talk about it, so I'm not going to talk about it now. Plenty of people already have. To sum things up, what it pretty much means is that the blokes that are at a really high starting price, like your Lairds, like your Olivers, are going to plummet pretty quickly and more severely than previous years if they have a bad game to start the season. The mid prices, well, the formula sort of suggests that they're going to make money a little bit quicker than what we may have seen, particularly in the past. So that's the risk with starting these two big boys. And I was absolutely adamant, a couple of days ago that you can absolutely not start these two. But the way that the team's structured up at the moment, I've sort of got the money to have Laird in. And I was chatting with Spills, was it yesterday, the day before? This was actually Lockie Neal. For the first time, Lockie Neal actually came into my side because take a look at the way he starts season. Take that outlier, was it 2021? Take 2021 out. But look, from 2019 upwards, without that year, wow, like the numbers are absolutely insane, and he tends to taper off a little bit after a really red hot start. So you've sort of got to start with Neal, or else maybe you don't look to jump on unless it's really, really early. So yeah, I have gone with Laird and Oliver at this stage. Now with Laird, he plays 4 out of his first 5 games at the Adelaide Oval. He's an absolute beast of a SuperCoach player. He only went below 100 twice last year. It was a 93 and a 97, and he followed those games up with a 133 and then a 140 plus. You cannot keep this man down. And for some reason, teams just don't respect him. They don't tag him. Even when Drew did look to tag him when they played Port last year, he still pumped out a 130 plus. I think it was a 133 from memory. So the man for me is just super, super consistent. He doesn't give you too many 170s, 180 type scores, if any. But what he does do is give you consistent 130s to 140s. And I love that. I just lock that in every day of the week. A great captain's score. And guess what? He only went down $9,000 from his original starting price last year. Oliver and Laird had the lowest, the least price drop from their original price. And they both managed to go above their original price as well, which not too many of the top 10 actually managed to do. Bont and Merritt were the only ones that managed to do that from memory. Remember, Merritt got concussed, I think, price went right down. Then he had that red hot end to the season when I jumped on him, which was perfect timing. So that was the reason for that. But these blokes are just so super consistent. Great captain options each week. As I said, Laird's got a great fixture to start. For now, they're both in my side. Now, Oliver's absolutely locked, throw away the key. Laird's the man that I could even go down to, a mid 500k type player. But for now, they're the two blokes that I'm spending up a lot of money on. The next bloke has been pretty much locked in my side for a while now. It's the Bont, and I think we all know why. He's not going to spend too much time forward this year. We know how many tall forwards and how many tall defenders I've got. There's going to be some pretty solid type talls where there's just no spot for them in the 22 this year. That's the way it is with the numbers. You simply can't play all of these blokes. A lot of talk about a Josh Bruce playing down back, but does he actually fit in? Is he above Gardner, Jones, Keith? Oh, I'm not too sure. Darcy, the young man, does he play down back? There's so many question marks, but what I do know is that they probably don't need Marcus Bont Pelly playing down there or up there, down or up, wherever you're going in the forward line. The other thing is, if you take a look at his averages without Dunkley in the side, man, it is so much brighter. So I just see a lot of positive signs for Bont this year. We know he's playing through injury, so I really do see value. We know that he even got his DPP status last year, which meant that obviously he did spend a fair bit of time up forward in order to actually gain that status. So for me, there is absolute value, I'd say, in Bontempelli. Not a value like you're getting with some other players, but he could certainly win a Brownlow this year, and I wouldn't be surprised if he even ended up as our M1 if he gets that midfield time. High CBAs means high scores for Bont. A healthy Bont is good sign. Such a pro, overseas in the off-season, all the rest. Yeah, absolutely love the Bont selection. So they're the three big boys. And now I'm looking for that next breakout type Uber Premium. And for me, I think it's Tommy Green. A lot of it comes down to opportunity. Had a red-hot start to the season last year. New coach does worry me slightly, but where else are you going to play him? Surely you've got to play these blokes to their strengths. So I see Tom Green having major CBA minutes this year, along with probably Cogs and a Kelly, got Perryman. There are other blokes at Callaghan. I think Callaghan's actually injured at the moment, isn't he? But there are a few blokes that can run through there. But let's be honest, he's a green bull. He should be the main man there. I think what really hurt him last year was the fact that his tank sort of let him down. It got to the mid-stage of the season, and he was just buggered, I think. So gave him a little bit of a rest. Came back okay for a couple of weeks, but yeah, look, things just didn't really go to plan, did they? Did it for the Giants last year. So for me, Tommy Green is that bloke that I'm most confident in. And then you've probably got LDU, Anderson. Yeah, you've got Mitchell around the price as well. So to be honest, in the last team I had, it was Mitchell instead of Laird, and that's where I was sort of going there. So that's why Green was my M3 at that stage. But the next bloke we're going to go with here, let's start with some value. Let's start to balance this out. We're going to get Jacob Popper. I'm not even going to worry about talking about him because he's so popular. I think it's really dangerous not starting with him. I'm actually going to pair him up with another mid-pricer here in Dom Sheed. So priced at 60, surely he goes above that. Gone 80s on a couple of occasions, up to a 90. So I think that he's probably the number 2 man in that midfield at the moment. Tim Kelly, I think, plays the most minutes there. Then I see Dom Sheed. The man that's sort of hurt him in the past has been Luke Shuey, but I even see him playing down back. Or let's be honest, he'll injure himself, won't he? Probably quarter one, and then be out for the next 8 weeks with a hammy or something. So I see Sheed, as I said, as probably that number 2 cog. And this is time to shine, isn't it? I tell you what, if you can't average an 85 plus, then it's probably time to retire, isn't it? In a team like West Coast, and that's probably harsh, I know, but coming in his prime, what is he, 27 years old? It's your time to shine, Dom. You've got to take this midfield under your wing and just go forward with it, mate. So 332,000, exactly the same price as Jacob Hopper. I like them both. I think they both present a lot of value, and I think they can push towards that 500 mark if all things go really well. But I certainly don't see them going, making less than 100k at an absolute minimum. So I'm locking these two guys in. The next bloke is an absolute must-have. It's Will Ashcroft. As I mentioned before, my cousin went to the match sim, said at halftime he was close to best on ground. He was playing in the A team in the midfield. Now, there was a couple of players that weren't playing that will be there. I'm not saying he's going to be a full-time mid, but he was playing pure mid during the match sim. He will definitely get some half-decent midfield minutes. And for me, after Neil, McCluggage and Dunkley, I think it's Ashcroft. I really do. You've got other guys. Now, Zorko's a big wild card for us this year. He's come back really fit, trimmed down. I can't believe it. I thought he was basically finished, but is he going to possibly get a bit of midfield time? I'm not too sure. Does he spend more minutes up forward? I really don't know. You got Bailey, you got Rainey, you got lots of blokes that can go through there, but he's been that impressive that I think he may even get the nod. Fagan even said last year if he was available to be selected during finals, he comes into the side. VFL average, he didn't go under 100 for his 4 games there playing against men. His junior's off the charts, 160 something I think for an average there. He's just a must-have. Do yourself a favour, select Will Ashcroft. Don't worry about the price and what role. Wherever he plays on the field, he'll accumulate the ball and he'll score well. This guy is a superstar. Absolute superstar. The next guy is Phillips. So there's been occasions where Phillips has actually been on the bench for me, where I've gone a little bit deeper in the mids, and that just doesn't really sit well with me. I want his score on the field. Look, great on the bench if you want to do that. If you really want to stack it, at least you've got a great option that can fill in and score well for you. But if I'm playing rookies on field, I want those rookies who I think have the highest scoring potential. And Will Phillips in the North Melbourne midfield, probably again looking to be that fourth cog maybe, I think presents great value at 158. And I think that he can average, a good 70, I think, let's just say. And that's going to be fantastic for us at 158. So Will Phillips locked in at M8 at this stage. Now I need to look here because the rookies have changed that much. Again, these are all pretty much placeholders for now, but Oscar Baker, I think, may find himself a spot on a wing. Corey Wagner, I think, may be injured at the moment, but I think if he's fit, he may look to potentially lock down one of those half-back roles, even push up to a wing. He did play half-back in the VFL and played that role really well last year, so maybe that's where they see him. I'm not absolutely sure there. And the other bloke here, look, I think he might even be injured as well, but been pretty exciting at training apparently. Drury, I think it was a Big J I was speaking to a call, so one of the blokes said he's been really impressive. And at 102k, if he actually gets a game, I think you've almost got to lock him in, don't you? Because you're saving, 15k on even those 117k types. And 15k can be pretty handy, can't it? So that's midfield. Laird, Oliver, Bont as the three absolute ultra premiums. You've got Green as a bloke who I think can potentially push up to the top 10 to 8. At least 15, I think's close to a lock. But yeah, I think there's a lot to like about his potential this year, and I think there is upside to Green at his price. Then we go for the two value picks, the absolute mid-price in Hopper and Sheed, Ashcroft a must-have, and then Phillips as well. Now, this is where we look, it's dicey, isn't it? Now, this is what worries me about the Rucks. I don't want to commit. I don't want to commit in the Rucks because in seasons past, we've pretty much had our set and forget, haven't we? This season, there is no clear-cut R1 and R2. It's been Gawn and Grundy in the past. Before that, Goldstein, and if you're a really old school player, you go all the way back to someone like a Dean Cox. It's been pretty easy in the past, the Ruck line. This year, there are curveballs absolutely everywhere. Now, the issue is, if you lock in two big boys, what are you going to do? Okay, so now I would never wish injury on a player, but let's just make a fake scenario here. Round 2, Brodie Grundy does a hamstring. He's out for 8 weeks. All of a sudden, Max Gawn is the number 1 ruck and solo ruck again. You'd love the opportunity to bring him in, wouldn't you? If you've got two of the big boys and all of a sudden you're forced to trade out a premium to get a Gawn in, that could be an issue, couldn't it? You've got a huge decision on your hands. So what I'm really keen to do is obviously you've got to lock in one big boy, I think, at least. So I'll do that. And when I say big boy, I think there's a fair bit of value in the pick in my R1. But with your R2, if you can, my suggestion is to look for a little bit of value and even get a placeholder if you can for now. So my R1, there's been glowing reports about this man in the preseason, is Rowan Marshall. So a player I have selected in my starting team in the past. I think I may have started with him for a couple of years. I didn't last year, but this year he's lighting it up. Now, I know that a big worry that I had initially was the big man crisis. They are absolutely cursed down there at St Kilda at the moment, aren't they, the poor buggers? But with Marshall, he's the clear-cut number 1 ruck. They are talking about who's going to support him at the moment. So I don't have any concerns about him spending too much time down forward. I think he's going to be their number 1, and they're going to look for someone simply to come in and chop him out when he needs it. So Marshall, for me, is going to start as that player, as my R1. Injury concerns are always there. So again, it isn't a foolproof pick by any stretch of the imagination, but at 506, I think it's value, saving 120k on Gawn, over 100k on a Jared Witts. Now, I did have Timmy English. He's certainly been in my side. He's featured in my side more often than not during the preseason. And I actually got news that came through. I thought, bugger it, I've already made up this side, so I don't know the severity of this. You'll have to let me know in the comments. But it's been Darcy Cameron. Now, this hamstring news has spooked me a little bit, but I decided not to look too much into it. I already had this team sort of done. I thought, I'm not going to make any changes. It's the 1st of Feb. I need to get this out. So, look, Cameron for me is a placeholder. As I mentioned before, I don't want to commit to 2 rucks that I just want to hold for the whole season. I think Cameron is that placeholder for mine. I think he's number 1 ruck. I think there's value in the pick. Grundy, member, was in the team, was it for the first 6 rounds. He was averaging around a 40 during that time. Plenty of meat on the bone during that time. And even with Cox in the side, he was still averaging half decently. So I still see him as number 1 man. Now, I don't know how bad this injury is. If it was awareness, if it was tightness, whatever it is, we'll need to certainly hear the news about that. If it's anything half bad, then obviously out he goes and I'll need to think about things again. I can make one move in my midfield and ruck that's a pretty easy swap, to be quite honest, but I like him, and I'm even looking for him to be in my side for the whole year, simply by swapping him into the forward line. So I think he has the potential to be a top 10 forward, but it is hard to predict at this stage because we don't know who's going to get DPP status. That's one thing that we've always got to be pretty wary of as well. But Cameron's in there for now. Oh man, I'm probably talking too much. This is going to be really quick. Sorry, I can't help it. Madden as a loop. Now, if you didn't catch my captaincy video on Clayton Oliver as well, Madden, Bont and Oliver match up really well as a captain combo 8 out of the first, or is it 9 out of the first 11 weeks? So, yeah, I'm just locking him in at this stage. I don't know if we're going to get anyone that's actually going to be playing there. So, given the fact he's 102 loop, works well with a couple of my captain combinations, he's a pretty easy selection there for me. I'm going to get through this pretty quick. Well, the first 3 anyway. Can't get Dunkley in the ruck, can we? Yes, well, we're not going to get Dunkley in the ruck, are we? I'll tell you what, there's a bit of meat on the bone already because he's going to be playing pure midfield, this man. I'll tell you what, this will be, I guarantee you, if this isn't true come the start of the season, bookmark it now, I will shut down this channel. I won't make another video in my life. This will be the last time we'll be able to get him as a forward mid. He's going to be a pure midfielder for the next 5-6 years, Josh Dunkley. I'll absolutely guarantee you that. Lock this man in. He should be in 100% of sides. I think last time I looked, he was in 60-something. It should be 100, please. And even Harold Son, if you're doing the autofill, actually, no, don't reward these players that just do the autofill sides. Don't give them Dunkley. Absolutely don't. No, sorry, I was going to say just give them Dunkley so he gets to 100%. But if you're serious about actually winning this year or going half decent, you've got to get him in. If you don't start Dunkley, and I don't mean to offend anyone here, I probably shouldn't say this, but if you don't start Dunkley, I don't think that you're actually serious. You've got to start him. Absolutely start him. You've got to. Now, the next 2 blokes, I've got Mr. Connor Rozee, and I am keeping on to the Tarantula at this stage as well. So I think that Rozee has the potential to finish as our F2 this year. I really like Cogs, maybe even a little bit more than Rozee, but I think that the money that you save attracts me probably more to the pick. Rozee is one of the most talented players in the competition. I really think this is year that he steps up. It should be kind of Rozee's midfield. We've got Wines there. What's Wines around? 27, I think, is he? 28 maybe. Boak, man, what a champion. And he's probably still one of the best players at the club. Probably still one of the fittest as well. So Noam Boak will probably play major mid-minutes. But surely it's his time. It's Rozee's time. He's got to start to take over this midfield. And remember, for the first, was it 6 weeks of the season last year, he got basically no CBAs. As soon as he did, I think it might have been round 6 or 7, was the first sort of major CBA minutes he got, and he got a monster. I think it was a 140 or 150 from memory. So, look, a little bit up and down. The issue with Rozee is that he does have a bit of a low floor for a premium, but he does have a big ceiling. I think he went 140 plus 3 times last year. So, given the fact that he's mooted to obviously be that man in the midfield now, one of the main men, I see value in the pick, and I see a lot of potential for Connor Rozee. Certainly not a lock at this stage, but at 513,000, yeah, he's competing with, and they're different lines, aren't they? But something like a Dacos, is he going to average the same as a Rozee? Who are you more confident on? Probably a little bit more confident on Rozee for me. Taranto, I think most people are going to select him, to be quite honest. Most teams that I've been following, or most coaches I've been following, have Taranto in their side. A bit of a butcher, but he's going to get a heap of the pill. There's possibly some myths about Richmond's game style in regards to fantasy scoring, but look, at 500k, I think he's just a pretty easy lock. Just go with the crowd, I think. The next bloke here is a bit of a pod at the moment. And what I'm relying on Sam Flanders to do is be that fourth cog in the midfield. So it's tough to get minutes in there. You've got Witts as a ruckman, obviously. Then you've got Anderson, Rao, and Took. They're the main three. I think they all average like 75 plus. Or it might have been 72 plus. I'm not too sure. But you know what I mean. They're the main three. And then you get like a Swallow that comes in for 30-something% of the time. I think it was a Fiorini was next. So I think that Flanders probably goes past Swallow, although Swallow was pretty solid last year. He's probably the man for me. When I look at the list at Gold Coast, I think that given the... And as well, there's been a heap of praise coming out of the Suns about Flanders. Early draft pick, smashed it in the VFL. We know what his numbers were like as well. Quickly on his numbers as well, don't rely on those VFL numbers because remember, he was playing major midfield minutes, huge amount of CBAs. It's not going to be like that in the AFL. Obviously, it's just, well, A, a step up in competition, but B, he's not going to be getting the minutes that he sees in the VFL right there in the gut. So the question is, what's that percentage going to be? Can it be 35%? If it is 35%, that's probably enough for me because he's a talented forward. I still think that he can impact the scoreboard down there on occasions as well, which is a bit of a bonus. So for me at this stage, without actually seeing him play too much, we'll need to look at his role, see if there is any sort of defined role in 2023. Yeah, it's a little bit speculative, but at this stage, I like him. He's a pod. He's fit. He's firing. He's the man. You know, there's really one player, isn't he? The hype man, I suppose, from every team each season. For me, from Gold Coast, it's Sam Flanders. The next bloke now is Oscar Allen. So, Allen, clear best 22, future leader of the club. Really, really like him as a player. Probably a little bit of a concern is the fact that I think it's been said that he's going to spend basically all of his time forward and he's not necessarily going to chop out in the ruck. I think that was a bit of a bonus for him in regards to previous averages or season averages because he was that man that chopped out during times. But in saying that, there's now no Kennedy and the ball's certainly going to go through him and who else? Probably Jack Darling as those tools. So I really like Allen as a player. I like him over a King. If you look at their season averages in the past, King's highest is around a 52. This bloke's gone a lot higher for a season average. So I've got more confidence in him. I know that you're paying an extra 40 grand, let's just say roughly, give or take a few dollars there, from a King to an Allen. But I've just got more confidence in him as a scorer, as a player. But, you know, he's competing with the Allen types. The King types, isn't he? And last bloke here, again, absolute lock. I see him. But I don't know if he's going to be in the 22. I'd be shocked if he wasn't. It's Bevo, though. He's Toby McLean. Did the player review on him. I need to win this video because I've been banging on for too long. And the other two blokes here, didn't know too much about this bloke. Howes, before I was speaking with Damo and Clarkey after Jock Reynolds' podcast. Shout out to you two legends. Hope you're going well. We'll have to have you guys on the channel soon for a good chat. But yeah, they did say, get this bloke on your watch list. Pretty impressive. Was a bit of a draft slider as well. So don't know if he's going to make that 22, but it could be anyone, couldn't it? Could be, you know, Fergus Green from Hawthorn, Comben as that key forward from North. Lots of players around the mark. And the other bloke I'll go here is Josh Sin, just for now. We'll see how we go with Sydney. Hopefully he gets some early games. Early draft pick again. Not too sure at this stage, but save the team. And how are we looking? Maybe a little bit speculative, given the fact that I have maybe paid up a little bit too much for a couple of blokes. Am I running too many mid prices? I'm not too sure. But this has changed so often, you know, and it's so easy to make changes as well. You know, Laird could easily come down to, let's just say, a Tom Mitchell. Yeah, I'm still pretty hot on Titch, to be honest, and he may come into the side. And then if I was to do that, then all of a sudden Cameron comes up to maybe in English. But again, he's had niggles. There was reports he was like best on ground for a match sim, and then he's done some sort of an injury. So, yeah, that worries me. But, yeah, Cameron, English, Marshall, they're all bloody injury risks, aren't they, these blokes? It's so tough. But, yeah, so I've paid up for a couple of guys in Dawson Stewart in the back line, a couple of mid-prices, some high-price rookies. Weddle, I think, is going to be someone that's really safe on your bench. You could probably have him on field as well. And of course, you've got McKenna, who I'm just not sure about. Please, please, please don't everyone take McKenna out of your side because I'm a Brisbane supporter and this and that. Keep him in your side for now. He's a fantastic placeholder. I've just gone a little bit different anyway, myself. Then the two absolute big boys in Laird and Oliver. Worried I'm paying a little bit too much, and I am, and they will come down in price, don't get me wrong. But it's not too easy, is it? The stars sort of have to align, don't they, for these two blokes to come down to a half reasonable price. So I'm just going to lock them in because, and then after Bont and Green, Bont being that third real uber premium, Green being that breakout player. After those four, this is where I'll go the mid-price madness for a little bit of value in your hopper and your sheed. Yeah, I could certainly, upgrade these two and get an extra premium in. I could even go down on one, even chuck a Baker on field. Yeah, at this stage, I like the fact that obviously they've got great job security. I think that they should be two of the main men in their team's midfields. They're coming into that age where they should be the ones to take over. They've both had a history of being able to average enough to make a good 150 to 200k and give us some decent scores. So pretty happy with that at this stage. Ashcroft as that higher price rookie and Phillips as that second year rookie. Things just didn't go well for him last year. Was crook, things didn't click. And then the rookies are what they are. Worries me a little bit having Cameron there, given the fact he's injured. See what happens there. But I want a placeholder here rather than, one of the big boys I'm just locking in as a set and forget. And then Marshall, I think, has a good chance of being one of the top rucks this year. Dunkley Lock, Roseanne Taranto. Yeah, Cogs could be another one here. Not really interested in any other premiums at this stage. And then Flanders, Allen, and McLean as, well, Flanders that mid-pricer. Allen, is he above Ashcroft? Yes, he is. So technically a mid-pricer. And McLean, he's rookie priced, high rookie priced. And then the two rookies there. So, yeah, compensated a little bit for those two big boys. But, you know me, I'll never be happy. Do I get Dacos in? Does Titch need to come in? Oh, it's tough, isn't it? I'm off Fife because he's playing pure forward. We know about his body. Hey, he could absolutely start the season on fire. But, yeah, a few too many question marks for me. I do have 31k in the bank, so that's always handy. I'm not going right down there. But remember, I do have Drury as 102k. I don't have quite enough to get someone like a Bruce on for a Howes. I'd need to make a slight change elsewhere, but that's in consideration as well. Having someone like a King as a slow burn there, you just know he's going to be in the 22. If you've got an injury, hey, you might get a 50 type score, but at least you're not copping a donut, are you? Because it's so easy for other rookies to get dropped. But that is the team for now, guys. Let me know what you think. I don't love it, but for now, it is what it is. Thanks very much for watching. Really enjoyed doing the team reviews with some legends so far. I will be pumping out more of those. There's only, 42 days left until round one. So I tell you what, that will go really, really quick. So thanks for watching, guys. There'll be plenty more videos to come. Take care, all the best, and I'll see you soon in the next one. Cheers, bye.